I've come down today to take some photos, hopefully in the caves. I'm about 2 hours before low water, and it certainly hasn't moved out far enough yet for me to get down there. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but I'll have lunch first, and hopefully in the next hour it'll drop enough for me to work my way along to the caves. We'll see. If we can't, we can't. We wait for a bigger tide. But beautiful day. Probably no good for colour photography, but I'm hoping it'll be good for black and whites, because there's some nice little clouds, so it should be quite nice. Anyway, that's the plan. I've got all my gear, I've got my camera, tripod. Just all we need now is the tide to go out far enough for me to make my way across. Well, I had a bit of lunch in a lovely spot, out of the wind, lovely and sunny. The tide's gone down quite a bit actually, so that's a good sign. So at least we'll be able to get to the first of the caves. How far we go, we don't know, but doesn't matter really. It's all about having a bit of fun. Let's go. The first bit going down here is a little bit tricky, only because the rocks are so sharp. You wouldn't want to fall here, you could easily break an ankle. This is a rock called Southerndown, which was laid down near the edge of sort of islands, and bits would fall into the matrix, into the sediment, and so you get these lumps of sort of chert in here as well. So this is called Southerndown. It hasn't got the shale layers that further along the coast the Liassic limestone has, so it's a bit more stable. Oh, isn't it beautiful? I think in amongst these rocks, these sharp rocks, it's probably going to be worth a wide angle photo. I think in black and white with these clouds it might look good, we'll see. I've got my 14mm wide angle with me, so let's give it a try. I'll just set it on my sort of standard landscape setting, which is f11 100 ISO. It's okay, nothing special, but we'll take a couple anyway, just to record the day. It's always lovely. Perhaps it's just, oh, it's a rock pipit just flown out of the cave. It's always lovely to be the first one across the beach. Fantastic, what a day. It's amazing to think 20 minutes earlier this would be totally unwalkable. This tide dropped so quickly. This is the first of the caves, only a little one, but not really worth a photo, I don't think. Nice though. And when the big waves come in, the sort of air just thunders through here, and you get wonderful plumes of spray come shooting out, and a thunderous sound. You can see the honeycomb worm. This is honeycomb worm, Sabellaria. Wonderful colonies of this at low tide all the way along the coast. The whole afternoon doing this walk is what you might call rock hopping. So you have to have sure footing and fairly good balance, I suppose. I think I've come the wrong way, but never mind. A lot of water dripping off the cliff. It's all the rain we've had recently. Seems to have been non-stop rain for the last 2 or 3 weeks. But things are warming up. Oh, look at all the young mussels. Normally they get ripped off by the big winter storm, so they've done well to hang on here. I think it's round this next corner. It's certainly one of my favourite little caves. Not because it's special to look at when you walk in, but it's wonderful for photography because it's a beautiful tube. If we're right today, low tide should be at 2 o'clock, just after. So I like to arrive an hour and a half to 2 hours before low. So when you're going across, the tide is dropping. If you come here at low tide, the minute you start moving, the tide's coming in, so it makes the whole day a bit more worrying. This is the one. Wow, it's fantastic. Sort of hides around the corner. Look at it, it's beautiful. I'll need my tripod for this one because once you're in the cave, obviously there's no light. Sort of too bright today for cave photography because you get lots of sort of internal refraction which spoils the shot. The first one, we'll keep it on f11 and ISO 100, see what happens. Okay, we're at the back of the cave now. It'll be much too bright, but we'll give it a try, see what happens. Not too bad. Let's get it. Oh, that's lovely. The only problem is I think there will be an awful lot of internal reflection. As you get older, you get less flexible. This is the first cut-off point, this little headland. Looks like we can get past, so that's good. It's lovely now because you're entering places that, apart from climbers, rock climbers, hardly anyone ever comes here. Because it's only exposed for a few hours every month. And some months, if you don't get big tides, the tide's not big enough, it's not exposed then, so it's always got a special feel to it. It's easy on the big sort of equinoctial tides, the March and September, those be the times you have the most time. Oh, wonderful. I just love this place. If you look at the base of the cliffs, there's that pale grey rock. The rock above, the sort of browny coloured, buff coloured rock, is Southerndown, which was laid down like shallow seas around islands. But the rock below is Carboniferous limestone, a much older rock. So the Southerndown is 180 million years old roughly. And the Carboniferous that I'm walking across now with the spikes is 350 million years old. So it's what you call in geological terms an unconformity. Lots of rock is missing that should be there. Ideally I want a bit of a lead in, I want some patterns in the rocks in the foreground, so there's a few lines here that might work, but the only problem is the sun is behind me, so it's really messing things up. Never mind. Oh, isn't this fantastic? Look at it. Like an amphitheatre. As I say, I'm going to try these in black and white, see if they give it a bit of extra drama. So, to me they're dramatic anyway, but like a moonscape, look at it, fantastic. That's got to be worth a photo actually. Stunning. Next cave is just round this little corner. Getting really warm now. What a day. Absolutely beautiful. Look at these beautiful veins in the rock. Fantastic. Look at that, fantastic. We've got two caves now in very close proximity, then, and beautiful photo opportunities here. The rock is just magnificent. I've yet to get good photos in these caves. Here's the first one. And I always think this stone in the middle here looks like a skull. Perhaps it's just me. Probably is. It's a funny cave, this one. It sort of splits into two. It's got like a pillar in the middle that's latticed with holes. So it makes this fantastic. Look at it. Stunning. They're like shipwrecked people that have been turned into rock. Perhaps that's just my furtive imagination. Oh God, it's a deep pool there, I couldn't see. Not sensible, Paul. So we'll try and put it into a very fast setting now. Okay, we have TV, 500-600. That's quite nice. Oh, I quite like that actually. I don't know if any of this is coming out on the GoPro, but it's quite nice. Perhaps wellies were a good idea after all. Time for a few rock photos and then in the next big cave because it's much more open. Oh, look at that lovely shape. Fantastic. How can you not love doing this sort of thing? Oh, look at these overhangs. Fantastic. I should find another word for instead of fantastic. Now, if it wasn't for the shadow, all I need is some beautiful leading lines to get this lovely cave entrance in. It's just a magnificent amphitheatre. Some days you can just have too much fun. Today's one of those days. Oh, fantastic. Talk about overhanging. It's right over your head. Again, even in here it takes time for your eyes to adjust, but when they do, there's phenomenal colour in here. There's greens and pinks and purples. What time is it? It's 1:30, so we've got about half an hour before the tide starts turning. That's okay. It won't move much the first half hour. Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it? Much too bright, but if you don't try, you don't get anything, do you? What a day for a daydream. Doodle-doo-doo. Now, the swings and roundabouts going under the cliffs. It's the flattest bit, so it's easy walking, but it's also in the fall line if a rock falls. But generally these cliffs are much safer than the Liassic ones, so you might say I'm taking a calculated risk. Hopefully there might be a peregrine just round the corner. They often are. This is Castle Rock. Oh, there's the peregrine just gone. I don't know if you can see it, just above the cliffs there, circling round. Female peregrine. Oh, there's two in the air now. Beautiful. In fact, the one coming towards us is the female, the other one is the male just going. There's always a pair on this stretch, but they're the hardest pair on the coast to find the nests. They change every year, which is great. Good idea. They're just holding position now. They obviously spotted me and they've checking what I'm up to, I suppose. This is what you might call a perfect day, as Lou Reed said. Look at the folding in the Carboniferous. It goes from horizontal there to almost 45 degrees. Amazing, isn't it? The fact rocks can fold, movement of the tectonic plates and mountain uplift and things. Just absolutely amazing. It's all about picking the right tide. Today, low tide at Swansea was about 0.4 metres, so it's a good low tide. It's got a bit of a westerly wind which holds the tide in a bit, but I think we're still under the influence of high pressure which pushes the tide down a bit, so there's those, they probably cancel each other out, so one way or another it's not a bad day. If you had low pressure and a big wind, the tide wouldn't drop as far. Just in these little rocks here, and in amongst the Carboniferous, there's the don't know what you'd call it, stern post or keel post. I'm not a nautical person, but basically it's a massive lump of iron that attached to the rudder of a ship. But it's immense, so it must have been a big old ship. There it is, look at that, isn't that beautiful? A massive lump of metal. Beautiful. It shows how the channel would have been used in years gone by. It would have been very busy with traffic, but now it's, apart from a little few container ships up to Cardiff, Barry and mainly Bristol, Avonmouth, gets nothing on here. You hardly see a ship going past. So that's where we've come from Ogmore Deep. It's not very far distance wise, but it can be a bit tortuous, but we picked a perfect day to do it. I say we, I. Now this is the biggest cave. This one has a blowhole at the top of it. It goes a different direction to the others as well. It goes in sort of northeast, I suppose. Fantastic. I think I may well go back to Ogmore actually, rather than meet all the people at Southerndown and go through all the cars. I think I've got enough time anyway. Now I've never noticed that before, all this honeycomb worm on top of this rock, and look at the beautiful colours of the dog whelks. Magnificent. I'll get a photo of those with the iPhone. This is not a very good cave for photos actually, because it's too dark, so I might, we'll see, I might leave the tripod and I don't think I've ever had a good photograph in this one anyway. What a lot of people don't know is there's a, not an extension, but you have to go under a shelf at the back and up to the left, there is a blowhole which comes out on top of the cliffs. So there's a continuous chamber that goes over 100 foot up in the air. Basically, you have to go under this shelf and it's to the left. Now at the moment, the sea, because of the big tides, has taken out a lot of this. Often this has got sand and this is only 2 foot deep, but at the moment, yeah, you can walk through. Very unusual. Normally you have to crawl through this bit. But I suppose the big winter storms have hollowed it out. You have to be careful not to bang your head, which I'm sure is why cavers wear helmets. Now you can see the amount of water that comes down this bit. Basically, the blowhole goes up through there. If I climbed onto there, I could show you, but I got soaking wet and I've only got a down jacket on and I would be soaking wet. But basically, if you clamber over there to that corner, you can see all the way up. Hard to believe you're walking across colonies of worms, basically. You can see how far the tide has gone out. When I came here, the sea was just inside these caves. Now at low tide, it's 200 meters away. All that walk and not one other person. Only 2 peregrines. Can't be bad. Lovely walk across the beach to the caves. Perfect day. I'm hoping there'll be a few photos which, if they're any good, I'll show at the end. But now, time for a cup of coffee